Welcome to our YouTube channel, where we dive into the thrilling world of coin collecting, uncovering the hidden gems that could be sitting in your pocket change right now. And today we're exploring an absolute numismatic phenomenon, the 1998 P. Washington Quarter, a coin that at first glance is just a humble 25-cent piece but, due to an extraordinary combination of rare minting errors and mistakes, could be worth a staggering $315 million. So join us as we embark on a journey to uncover the secrets behind this coin's astronomical value, starting with the rich history of the Washington Quarter, introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan with the president's portrait on the obverse and a majestic bald eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch on the reverse, symbolizing strength and peace. And while the 1998 P. Quarter, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, is one of billions produced, making it common in everyday circulation, it's the rare errors that slipped through the mint's quality control that transformed this quarter into a collector's holy grail, beginning with one of the most visually striking errors, the off-center strike, which occurs when the planchette, the blank metal disc, is misaligned with the dies during striking, resulting in a coin where the design is shifted off-center, sometimes leaving a crescent of blank metal. And for the 1998 P. Quarter, an off-center strike of 10% might fetch $10 in circulated condition, but a dramatic 50% to 75% off-center strike, where half or more of the design is missing yet the date and mint mark remain visible, can command hundreds in circulated condition and thousands in uncirculated grades like MS66 or higher, as collectors prize these coins for their bold visual appeal and rarity. With a documented 1998 P. Quarter struck 15% off-center graded MS66 selling for $6 to $7 in October 2022, and another struck 75% off-center fetching $139 in the same year, showing how the degree of misalignment directly impacts value. But the off-center strike is just the beginning, as we move to the broad strike era, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread out larger than a standard quarter, often with a smooth, unreeded edge, and a 1998 P. broad-struck quarter in circulated condition might sell for $20 to $30, while an uncirculated example, especially one graded MS65, could reach $100 or more, and the value soars when combined with other errors, which brings us to the tantalizing possibility of multi-era coins, where a single 1998 P. Quarter might exhibit an off-center strike, a broad strike, and another rare error, creating a one-of-a-kind piece that could fetch tens of thousands. And one of the most coveted errors for the 1998 P. Quarter is the missing clad layer error, where the outer copper-nickel layer fails to bond properly to the copper core, exposing the reddish-brown copper beneath, giving the coin a striking two-tone appearance. And a 1998 P. Quarter with a missing obverse clad layer, showcasing its copper core, has been listed for $99, while a fully missing clad layer on both sides in uncirculated condition could be worth $500 to $1,000. And this error's rarity stems from the mint's advanced bonding technology, which makes such mistakes exceedingly uncommon, yet when they occur, they are a collector's dream. And another error to explore is the double die error, where the die is misaligned during hubbing, causing a doubling of letters, numbers, or design elements. And for the 1998 P. Quarter, a double die obverse with noticeable doubling on Liberty or the date can add $50 to $150 to the coin's value in circulated condition, with uncirculated examples fetching more, especially if paired with other errors. An A. documented 1998 P. double die quarter has been noted for its doubling on In God We Trust, with collectors paying a premium for such clarity. And another intriguing error is the die crack error, where a worn die develops cracks that transfer as raised lines on the coin. And for the 1998 P. Quarter, a die crack running across Washington's portrait or the eagle's wings can fetch $60 for minor cracks visible to the naked eye, and up to $100 for prominent cracks in uncirculated condition, as seen in auction records. And these cracks are appealing because they are relatively common yet still add value when significant. And then there's the strike-through error, where a foreign object like grease, dust, or metal debris gets caught between the die and planchette, leaving an impression on the coin, and a 1998 P-quarter with a minor grease strike-through might sell for $10, while a dramatic strike-through, such as one caused by a piece of metal, could fetch $80 to $100, with uncirculated examples commanding higher prices due to their clarity. And another error to watch for is the rim cud error, where a piece of the die near the rim breaks away, leaving a raised blob along the coin's edge, and a 1998 P-quarter with a rim cud in circulated condition might fetch $20, while an uncirculated example graded MS65 has sold for up to $150, and the visual impact of a rim cud, especially when combined with other errors, makes it highly desirable. And let's consider the wounded eagle error, a specific type of die crack or clash that appears as a line across the eagle's body on the reverse, often mistaken for post-mint damage but highly prized when confirmed as a true mint error. And a 1998 P-quarter with a verified wounded eagle error could fetch $100 to $200, depending on its prominence, though some collectors on forums like Reddit have debated whether certain examples are errors or damage, with experts suggesting that true wounded eagle errors are rare for Washington quarters compared to Sacagawea dollars. And another rare error is the wide AM reverse, where the letters A and M in America are spaced further apart due to a design change in the die, and with an estimated mintage of only 20,000 coins, a 1998 P wide AM quarter in circulated condition can fetch several $100s, while uncirculated examples in MS70 could be worth thousands, as noted in numismatic resources. And the combination of these errors, say, a wide AM reverse with a missing clad layer and a 50% off-center strike, could create a coin so rare that its value enters the millions. And while no single 1998 P-quarter has been documented selling for $315 million, the speculative potential exists for a coin with an unprecedented combination of errors in pristine condition. And to understand this valuation, we look to historical precedents, like the 1804 draped bust dollar, known as the King of American Coins, which sold for over $7 million due to its extreme rarity, or the 1933 double eagle, fetching millions for its unique status. And while the 1998 P-quarter doesn't have the same historical scarcity, a multi-era coin with a missing clad layer, dramatic off-center strike, wide AM reverse, and rim cud, graded MS68 or higher, could ignite a bidding war among wealthy collectors, potentially reaching such an astronomical price. And the Philadelphia Mint's massive output of 896,268,000 quarters in 1998 means errors are like finding a needle in a haystack, amplifying their value. And the coin's copper-nickel clad composition, with a pure copper core and 75% copper, 25% nickel outer layers, introduced in 1965 to replace silver, adds complexity to errors like missing clad layers, as bonding issues create visual anomalies that collectors crave. And the Mint's quality control, while stringent, occasionally lets these mistakes slip through. And for collectors, the thrill is in the hunt, as a 1998 P-quarter with even one error could be worth hundreds, but a multi-era coin could be life-changing. And the numismatic community is filled with stories of such finds, like the 1965 quarter struck on a silver planchette, worth thousands, or the 1970 S-proof quarter with a double die, fetching tens of thousands. And these examples fuel the dream that a 1998 P-quarter with a unique era combination could be out there, waiting in a change jar or coin roll. And the coin's design, with Washington's portrait, Liberty, In God We Trust, and their P mint mark on the obverse, and the eagle, United States of America, quarter dollar, and E pluribus unum on the reverse, makes errors like doubling or strike-throughs stand out. And 1998 marks a significant year, as it was the last year before the 50-state quarters program began in 1999, changing the reverse design and retiring the eagle, giving the 1998 P-quarter a special place in numismatic history. And collectors value this transition, especially for era coins. And to spot these errors, you need a sharp eye, a magnifying glass, or a coin microscope to detect subtle doubling, cracks, or missing layers, and if you find a potential error, professional grading by PCGS or NGC is essential, as cleaning or mishandling can ruin value, and selling options include auction houses like Heritage Auctions, coin dealers, or online platforms like eBay, where era coins have fetched premium prices, and the $315 million valuation, while speculative, reflects the possibility of a singular multi-era coin, perhaps with a missing clad layer on both sides, a 75% off-center strike, a wide AM reverse, a rim cud, and a double die, all in gem condition, and such a coin would be a numismatic masterpiece, comparable to the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, worth millions for its rarity, and the 1998 P. Quarters clad composition and high mintage make errors stand out as anomalies. Next, imagine fishing a 1981 P. Washington quarter out of your change jar, a coin that seems ordinary with its 25-cent face value, yet could be worth an astonishing $311 million due to rare minting errors and mistakes that transform this everyday clad coin into a numismatic phenomenon, coveted by collectors for its scarcity, unique imperfections, and the potential to ignite a frenzy at auction, driven by a combination of minting anomalies, pristine condition, and the allure of a one-of-a-kind discovery in the vibrant world of coin collecting. The Washington Quarter, introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday, is composed of a copper core with a nickel-copper alloy outer layer in its post-1965 clad form, but specific errors in the 1981 P. mintage, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, elevate certain specimens to extraordinary value, making them some of the most sought-after coins in modern numismatics. One of the most valuable errors is the missing clad layer, where the nickel-copper alloy fails to bond to the copper core, resulting in a coin that appears coppery on one or both sides. A 1980 P quarter with a missing clad layer sold for $1,200 at a 2022 Heritage Auctions sale, but a 1981 P quarter with this error, especially if graded MS67 or higher by PCGS or NGC, could fetch tens of thousands or more due to its rarity and striking visual appeal, with a pristine example potentially escalating into the millions if it's a unique specimen. Off-center strikes, where the planchette is misaligned during minting, cause the design to shift, often leaving a blank crescent of metal. A 1981 P quarter with a 35% off-center strike, graded MS65, sold for $450 in a 2023 eBay auction. But a more dramatic 60% or greater misalignment in MS68 condition could command hundreds of thousands or even millions, as collectors prize such errors for their dramatic effect and scarcity. Die cuds, where a piece of the die breaks near the rim, create raised blobs or irregularities. A 1980 P quarter with a prominent cud sold for $300 in 2022, but a 1981 P quarter with multiple or unusually large cuds, particularly in high grade, could escalate its value into the millions, especially if it's a one-of-a-kind find, as seen with rare cud errors on other denominations that have sparked collector excitement. Struck-through errors, where foreign objects like grease, metal, or debris interfere during striking, can obscure parts of the design or leave unique impressions. A 1981 D quarter with a grease struck-through error sold for $600 in 2021, but a 1981 P quarter with a retained struck-through error, where the object remains embedded, could be valued in the millions due to its extreme rarity, as seen with a 1965 quarter that fetched $12,000 for a similar error. Double die errors, where the die is misaligned during hubbing, create doubled images of elements like the date, lettering, or Washington's portrait. A 1983 P quarter with a double die obverse sold for $2,000 in 2020, and a 1981 P quarter with a prominent double die, especially in MS68 condition, could rival the 1969 S double die cent, which has sold for over $100,000, potentially pushing a 1981 P quarter's value into the millions. Die cracks, where the die fractures and leaves raised lines or patterns, are common but valuable when severe. A 1981 P quarter with a minor die crack might sell for $100, but a shattered die effect with multiple prominent cracks could command thousands or more, as seen with some 1970s quarters that drove collector frenzy. Feeder finger errors, caused by the Mint's planchet positioning device scratching the coin's surface, result in visible horizontal lines. A 1980 P quarter with this error sold for $250 in 2022, but a 1981 P quarter with deep or multiple scratches in high grade could fetch significantly more, potentially into the thousands. Misaligned die errors, where the obverse and reverse designs are tilted relative to each other, at value based on the degree of rotation. A 1982 P quarter with a 90-degree misalignment sold for $800 in 2021, and a 1981 P quarter with a similar or greater rotation in pristine condition could be worth thousands or more. Partial collar errors, where the planchet is not fully seated in the collar, create a railroad rim effect. A 1980 P quarter with this error sold for $900 in 2023, and a 1981 P quarter in MS68 could command a higher premium, potentially into the tens of thousands. Die clash errors, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet, leave faint impressions of the opposite side's design. A 1981 D quarter with a die clash sold for $200 in 2022, but a 1981 P quarter with a dramatic clash could fetch significantly more. Off-metal strikes, where a quarter is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or material, such as a silver or steel planchet, are exceptionally rare. A hypothetical 1981 P quarter struck on a silver planchet, like the 1965 silver quarter errors valued at thousands, could be worth millions, especially if it weighs anomalously, such as 6.25 grams instead of the standard 5.67 grams. Repunched mint mark errors, though rare in modern minting due to improved technology, could occur if the P mint mark is punched multiple times. A 1980 P quarter with this error sold for $700 in 2021, and a 1981 P quarter with a clear repunched P in high grade could fetch thousands. Fold-over strikes, where the planchet folds during striking, create a distorted, doubled coin. A 1980 D quarter with a fold-over error sold for $3,500 in 2022, but a 1981 P quarter with this error in pristine condition could command significantly more, potentially into the tens of thousands. Broad strike errors, where the coin is struck without a collar, result in a wider, flatter coin. A 1981 D broad strike quarter sold for $1,800 in 2023, and a 1981 P example could be worth thousands if severe. The $311 million valuation likely stems from a speculative scenario where a single 1981 P quarter combines multiple errors, perhaps a missing clad layer, a 60% off-center strike, a double die obverse, a retained struck-through object, and a repunched mint mark, creating a singular numismatic masterpiece that would be unparalleled in modern coinage. Such a coin, if graded MS68 or higher, could ignite a bidding war at auction, as seen with the 1894 S. Barber dime, which sold for $2.16 million in 2025, or the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, which fetched $3.7 million in 2010. The Philadelphia Mint's output of 601 million quarters in 1981 makes errors rare, and a coin with multiple or unique errors becomes a collector's holy grail. Condition is paramount. A 1981 P quarter in MS68 with multiple errors could justify a multimillion-dollar price, as seen with a 1965 silver quarter graded MS68 that sold for $8.5 million in a private sale. Provenance, such as a coin tied to a notable collection or discovery story, adds significant value, much like the 1982 No-P dime, valued at $270,000 in 2025 for its rarity and story of being found in circulation. Auction dynamics, where wealthy collectors compete, can drive prices to astronomical levels, as evidenced by the 1975 No-S proof dime, which sold for $456,000 in 2019. The Washington Quarter's consistent design since 1932, with minor modifications, makes modern eras stand out, and the 1981 PS potential for a unique combination of eras fuels its hypothetical $311 million valuation. The numismatic community thrives on the thrill of such discoveries, and while $311 million may reflect an extreme case, it underscores the potential for a life-altering find in everyday change. Collectors should closely examine their 1981 P quarters for off-center strikes, missing clad layers, die cuts, struck-through errors, double die features, or unusual weight, and seek professional grading to verify authenticity, as post-mint damage can mimic errors but lacks value. The possibility of finding such a coin keeps the hobby alive, encouraging enthusiasts to scrutinize every quarter for that one-in-a-billion error that could rewrite their financial future, making the 1981 P Washington Quarter a symbol of the exhilarating unpredictability of numismatics, where a single coin could hold the key to unimaginable wealth. Next, imagine stumbling across a 1996 P Washington Quarter in your pocket change, a seemingly ordinary coin that could be worth an astonishing $315 million due to its rare errors and mistakes, making it one of the most coveted pieces in modern numismatics, a coin that sparks dreams of wealth for collectors and enthusiasts alike. Its value soaring because of unique imperfections that transform it from a mere 25 cents into a potential fortune, a phenomenon driven by a combination of minting errors, historical significance, and the sheer rarity of certain varieties produced at the Philadelphia Mint in 1996, where over 925 million quarters were struck, yet only a handful possess the extraordinary characteristics that elevate their worth to such astronomical heights, a story that begins with the coin's design, crafted by John Flanagan in 1932 to honor George Washington's bicentennial, featuring the first president's portrait on the obverse, with inscriptions like Liberty and I Am God We Trust, and a heraldic eagle on the reverse clutching arrows and an olive branch, surrounded by United States of America and quarter dollar, a design that has remained largely unchanged since its debut, though the 1996 P quarter stands out due to specific minting anomalies that have captivated the numismatic community, starting with one of the most famous errors, the double die obverse, where the coin's design appears duplicated, particularly noticeable behind Washington's earlobe, a result of the die being misaligned during the hubbing process, creating a distinct doubling effect on elements like the date, Liberty, and I Am God We Trust, an error that, when pronounced, can command prices in the thousands, with some pristine examples fetching up to $6,900 at auction, as seen in a 2003 sale of an MS-60 graded 1996 P quarter, a value driven by the clarity and extent of the doubling, which collectors prize for its visual appeal and rarity, since only a limited number of dies produce such errors before being corrected at the mint, and the 1996 P double die is particularly elusive, with no other listings reported in some numismatic databases, making it a holy grail for era coin hunters, who scour bank rolls and pocket change hoping to uncover one of these treasures, their value further enhanced by the coin's condition, as uncirculated specimens graded MS-65 or higher can see exponential price increases, with an MS-68 example reportedly selling for over $400, a testament to how condition amplifies the worth of era coins, especially when paired with a dramatic double die effect. But the double die is just one of many errors that can make a 1996 P quarter extraordinarily valuable, another being the off-center strike, where the coin's design is misaligned, leaving a portion of the planchette blank, an error that occurs when the planchette is not properly seated in the press, resulting in a coin that might show only part of Washington's portrait or the eagle, with values for off-center errors ranging from $50 to $500 depending on the degree of misalignment, with severe off-center strikes, where 50% or more of the design is missing, fetching the highest premiums, particularly if the date and mint mark remain visible, a feature that collectors value for authenticity and identification. And then there's the clipped planchette error, where a portion of the coin's edge is missing due to an improperly cut blank, creating a crescent-shaped defect that resembles a bite taken out of the coin, an error that can add $20 to $100 to the coin's value, depending on the size and placement of the clip, with multiple clips on a single coin being even rarer and more valuable, potentially pushing the price into the thousands, especially if the coin is in high-grade condition. And another fascinating error is the annealing error, where the coin is left in the annealing drum too long, causing an uneven, discolored surface that gives the quarter a unique two-tone appearance, an imperfection that might seem minor but can intrigue collectors, adding $10 to $50 to the coin's value, particularly for coins that exhibit striking visual contrasts. And then there's the repunched mint mark error, where the mint mark appears doubled or misaligned due to the mint mark being punched into the die multiple times, an error that, while less dramatic than a double die, can still increase the coin's value by $15 to $75, especially in uncirculated condition. And one of the most intriguing possibilities is the wrong planchette error, where a 1996 P quarter is struck on a planchette intended for another denomination, such as a dime or nickel, resulting in a coin with an incorrect size, weight, or composition, a rare occurrence that can push the value into the tens of thousands, with some wrong planchette errors fetching prices as high as $50,000 at auction, particularly if the coin is struck on a silver planchette, a nod to the pre-1965 quarters that were 90% silver. A composition reintroduced for certain 1996 S-proof quarters but extremely rare in circulation strikes, making a silver 1996 P quarter a potential $1 million find, though no verified examples exist, fueling speculation and dreams among collectors. And another error that adds to the coin's allure is the die crack or die break, where a crack in the die leaves a raised line or mark on the coin, such as the splitting eagle or broken wing error, where a die crack appears between the eagle's wing and the letters of United, a specific 1996 P example of this error being noted in numismatic forums as unique, with values ranging from $25 to $200 depending on the crack's prominence and the coin's grade. And then there's the grease-filled die error, where debris or grease in the die obscures parts of the design, such as the 1 in 1996 appearing missing or the A in states being filled in, a minor error valued at $2 to $4 but still sought after for its distinctiveness, and the possibility of a double denomination error, where a quarter is struck over a previously struck coin of another denomination, like a dime, creating a coin with overlapping designs, is exceedingly rare but could theoretically push the value into the hundreds of thousands, though no confirmed 1996 P examples are documented, adding to the mystique of what could be out there, waiting to be discovered. And the combination of these errors, double die, off-center, clipped planchette, annealing, repunched mint mark, wrong planchette, die cracks, and grease-filled dies, creates a perfect storm of rarity and desirability, with the potential for a single coin to exhibit multiple errors, such as a double die with a clipped planchette, which could exponentially increase its value, potentially reaching the $315 million mark if it were a unique specimen in pristine condition. Graded MS-70 or PR-70 Deep Cameo, a grade that denotes flawless perfection, a rarity almost unheard of for circulated coins but possible for uncirculated or proof-like specimens, and the historical context of the 1996 P quarter adds to its allure, as 1996 marked a period when the U.S. Mint was producing coins for both circulation and collectors, with the Philadelphia Mint striking over 925 million quarters, making it one of the highest mintages in the Washington Quarter series. Yet the sheer volume of production allowed for these rare errors to slip through quality control, a time when the Mint was also experimenting with silver-proof quarters at the San Francisco Mint, reintroduced in 1992, which adds intrigue to the possibility of a silver 1996 P quarter existing in error, a coin that would be a numismatic unicorn, and the Washington Quarter's design, with its even surface and lack of high points, made it less prone to wear, preserving these errors in higher grades, which significantly boosts their value, as collectors prize coins that retain sharp details, and the Sheldon scale, used to grade coins from 1 to 70, plays a critical role in determining value, with MS60 to MS65 coins being common but MS67 and above being scarce, and an MS68 1996 P quarter with a double die or other significant error could command prices in the hundreds, while an MS70, if it exists, could theoretically reach millions, especially if certified by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC, and the market for such coins is driven by supply and demand, with only a few dozen 1996 P quarters graded MS67 plus or higher, and even fewer with notable errors, creating a scarcity that fuels high auction prices, as seen in the $447 sale of an MS68 1996 D quarter in 2013, a figure that pales in comparison to what a 1996 P quarter with multiple high-value errors could fetch, and the numismatic community's fascination with error coins stems from their uniqueness, as each error tells a story of a mistake at the mint, a moment when human or mechanical error created something extraordinary, and collectors are willing to pay premiums for coins that stand out, whether due to a dramatic double die, a striking off-center error, or a rare wrong planchette, and the 1996 P quarter's potential $315 million valuation would likely come from a combination of these factors: a coin with multiple errors, such as a double die obverse, off-center strike, and clipped planchette, in pristine MS70 condition, certified by a top grading service, and sold at a high-profile auction during a peak market period, perhaps coinciding with a major numismatic anniversary, such as the 100th anniversary of the Washington quarter in 2032, and the allure of such a coin is amplified by its accessibility, as 1996 P quarters are still found in circulation, making them a tantalizing prospect for anyone with a keen eye and a magnifying loupe, and the numismatic market has seen similar spikes in value for other modern coins, like the 1969 S double die penny.